Indigenous languages are spiritual, bigger than any one person, bigger than any one band, because it comes from the Creator.
We're all say the same thing, I want to learn my language, and yet we don't really have the opportunity to actually do that.
There are no children under the age of 20 who are fluent speakers, so the situation's pretty dire.
I have 4 children. It gets overwhelming when they can't learn my language. They want to be on Facebook. They want to be on their Xbox Live. I kind of see that as a great divide.
Something needs to happen today. We need to do what we can to save our language.
Our work with communities begins with the process of learning from them about where they are in the language loss process, where they want to be, and also what the obstacles might be. Maybe they don't have the textbooks they want, maybe it's not being taught in the schools. There's lots of different variables, and we try to understand the linguistic landscape of that community. Once we've learned from our stakeholders, what the main issues with the language are and what the main obstacles are, we try to figure out what the next project would be. And in many cases, the communities don't have funding to support that project. And what we also bring to the table is a team of grant writers that will assist communities in writing these grants, finding the resources, identifying the opportunities.
Especially a lot of the federal grants, they're highly technical, they're extremely long. Some of our grants are 100 pages, so it was finding someone who can put together that type of document quickly.
Once we understand their language loss, we can begin implementing some of the strategies to address that. And rapid word collection is one of them, textbook creation is one of them, developing apps, picture books.
We work with our artists or work with our illustrators to be sure that we have the most accurate and culturally relevant images and text. We always bring on elders or native speakers and communicate with them directly about what they want to see and how their language is actually used from day to day, because sometimes if you work exclusively with a linguistic approach, you don't get the nuances in the language that you otherwise get by just asking the people directly, So that's really important to us, is making sure that the language that we put into our materials actually reflects the way the language is used in the real world. We create a lot of things that are purely print. We also do what's called a media player app. You can play back all the audio from the picture books without even having the picture book, or if you have the picture book in your hand and you point your camera at the pictures or the text, it'll read to you what's on the pages. That's really fun for kids because they get to use their smartphones or their tablets and interact with the book in a different way that's not just reading the book or having it read to them.
We've been able to leverage the great advancements in things like database and web production. We do testing, we do online learning programs. The way we've been able to, for example, accelerate the development of dictionaries is totally groundbreaking. The Language Conservancy has pioneered this process called rapid word collection, which takes an entire group of elders. They're given a set of topics to go through. And one of these topics might be something like things you might find in a kitchen. So you can imagine listing all the things you might find in a kitchen, a table, a chair, a stove, and so on. And there you might have dozens of different items you might have just for that particular topic. And if you can imagine 1,700 of these different topic areas that have to be gone through, you can create a great list of words. That's the basic principle behind RWC. We can get about 16,000 words during this process and then build the subsequent dictionary out over the next year. There's a review process and a checkout process where they're able to go through all the materials and decide what they like, what they don't like. And that's really an important part of the process. So there's buy-in and there's a strong sense of partnership and collaboration in the development of the materials.
We have kind of a broad range of different services that we provide that aren't explicitly books and apps and things, because we also do what are called summer institutes and language weekends.
Summer institutes are events geared toward language learning, assisting teachers, and building community around the language. So they serve 2 audiences, that's language learners and teachers. So on one hand, summer institutes promote literacy, and using the communicative method, language learners are able to use the vocabulary that they've learned to hold simple conversations and create simple sentences. On the other hand, we have the teachers, and even though they get lessons in the actual language, there's a professional development opportunity that's focused on teaching methodology and best practices for second language acquisition.
The Language Conservancy brings to the table a track record of success. We've worked with communities now for the last 15 years. We're proud to say that there's dozens and dozens of new speakers of these Indigenous languages emerging each year because of this process. So the process of learning does work. The process of training works. Materials work. We're trying to create a new generation of speakers, of language warriors that are able to move forward with their language with dignity and success. And so Language Conservancy is trying to make it clear that there's a world where language is learnable and these languages can be revitalized.
There's almost like a cultural renaissance going on, a rebirth. Kids are going to sun dances. Kids are going to sweats. Kids are going to these ceremonies.
This is our language. We need to hear it, to share it with somebody, and it breaks down the fear that's really ruling us.
We've had just this big gap where it hasn't been there, and it really kind of left us at a loss for what to do, how to conduct ourselves in our own, communities with our own families.
You're going to walk away changed, because that's what our language does to us. When we found our language, we found our peace.